Good morning, afternoon, noon, evening, whatever it is. Live from New York City. This is the real Tony Cohen, and I'm doing my second interview here. What I'm now labeling as real interviews, and the interesting thing with them is I have absolutely no plan whatsoever as to what I'm going to do. So this should be real interesting, or it will go badly wrong. There will be no grey area. So I've been granted, I have to use the word granted because live from Hollywood, I've been granted an interview with the delightful Kalei Beamon. Now, Kalei is an actress, a producer, a whole bunch of other stuff I can't remember. But you know, she's done her hair very specially for the occasion, and she sat there in the California sunshine while I'm sat here in New York City. So I'm not in the least bit jealous whatsoever, but I'm just going to say, Kalei, how are you today?
Tony, hi! Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so psyched to be here. When you invited me out of the show and you told me you were going out to get your hair done, I knew I had to make an appointment for myself too, because I wasn't going to get sized up by the real Tony Cohen. But I'm just really happy to be here and just thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. Your hair looks wonderful, by the way. Next week, I should do mine like that, I'm just thinking. But
All right.
I don't know if I can pull it off quite the same as you. But, you know, I'm willing to try anything. So, Kalei, you are we met in business as it happens. We don't go into business here. But you are an actress or an actor. What is there actually a gender term for that now? Because actresses refer to themselves as actors in this city. Is that still how it works? I don't
You
know.
know, it goes either way. I say actor, actress. It just kind of depends on what rolls off the tongue at any given moment. I think both are politically or socially acceptable. Actress, actor. I mean, if you're getting the Oscar, it'd be best actress. So, I don't mind.
Okay, I'll buy my dress. Actually, I thought it was just a thespian that goes either way, or am I on a different subject here?
I don't know. I don't worry about it that much, actually.
Okay, so you're also a writer. Now, are you a writer of books, or you're a writer of scripts, or you're a writer of your journal, or tell us, what do you write?
I do a lot of script writing. My background had come out of video production, so I've done a lot of video scripts for different businesses and corporations, writing image videos, documentary scripts, public service announcements, things like that. Right now, I'm currently working on a show script, the concept that me and one of my fellow colleagues had developed, working on a TV show script, and I've got some film scripts that I'm working on as well. So I've got lots of stories in me, and I love to tell stories and share that, whether it comes through a specific, business corporate entity or, more of an entertainment realm. I do a little bit of both. I have written one training manual regarding to business in terms of, what it takes to really succeed in a home business or a network marketing business from the ground up, as from the perspective of someone who's never been in it, never doesn't know anything about the industry. So I've written some training information that will help people in that realm as well. So yeah, I do a lot of various scopes, but mostly it's script writing for stories and various things like that.
So I hope your script writing is a lot faster than my script writing, as you know, I started my movie on March the 30th. Sorry, May the 30th last year, and I wrote the first 5 scenes out without dialogue. That's it. I'm still doing it tomorrow. I've got the dialogues all in my head. If you could write a training manual on how to get this from there into a director's hands, okay, I'm in. Sort it out. So,
Okay.
uh, actor, writer, producer, entrepreneur, the whole thing, the whole 9 yards. I don't know where to start, so I'm just going to drop you right in it. You're not from Hollywood, are you? Even though you look like you belong there. Okay,
Yeah.
even though you look like you belong there. How am I doing so far? Any points for that?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. You're awesome.
Okay, all right. So, you're not from, where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Michigan. I was born and raised in East Lansing, Michigan, and I moved to Chicago after I went to school. and lived in Chicago for a number of years, and then came out to LA about 4 years ago in January. So I came out in January of 2011. Experienced my first non-Arctic winter about 4 years ago when I was here. I was, it's funny. LA is always, nice and sunny, whether it's piping hot or maybe not so cold. But in Chicago, this time of year, it's ridiculous. So, I had my first winter out here in January, and I was like, you know what? I can work with this. I think I can work with this. So
Yeah, I guess. I got an invite to go to Chicago. I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was a case of, yeah, I'm on my way. I'll be there in 6 months. Okay. And so, how did you end up in Hollywood? I mean, there's going to be thousands of people watch this. There's people watching it right now, live, which means anything could happen. So, how did you end up in Hollywood, and why Hollywood?
I've always had, since I was 5, I've really had like a passion for acting. I really discovered a love of acting when I was 5, when I was in kindergarten. The very first play I ever saw was put on by our 5th grade class, and they came to our kindergarten class, and they did a production of Cinderella, and I was totally in awe of it. And I looked at it because I'd never seen anything like it. I'd seen, things on TV, but I didn't quite connect that people were actually creating these characters. And I just sat there watching this. I think I was sitting on the floor watching the 5th graders put on their little show. And I said I wanted to do that. So I did, and I went through and rounded up all the kids in my class, got some of the fairy tale stories, basically copied what they did. And, every fairy tale story that was out there, I'd do a play, and I would cast myself as the lead every time, and I'd cast my bestie at the time as in the supporting role, and I'd round up every kid that would want to participate in the class. And for weeks I would just put on these plays. That's all I did, to the point where the teacher was like, okay, you kind of need to focus a little bit more on some schoolwork. So I wasn't able to keep doing it in that realm, but I just loved it. And so I always had that kind of passion in me. I didn't pursue it that much when I was coming up in school. I was doing kind of more traditional studies and what have you. But right around the time I was 14, I always knew I was going to live in LA. I mean, I just always knew it. And I actually thought I was going to end up at UCLA. I had visions of myself going to school, studying under a palm tree, playing beach volleyball. But that didn't work out that way. I ended up going to school at Michigan, which is awesome. I loved it. But I always knew that at some point in my life I'd end up in LA. So after college, I went and worked for a production company in Chicago for a number of years. And then when the economy went kind of south, a lot of the production companies in that town, the doors closed. And so I started my own business at that point, went freelance in a production environment, working with clients and producing and writing a lot of videos for them, and doing a lot of international travel as part of that as well. And then, one day I just kind of got to the point, I don't know if you ever had something in your just kind of in your heart where you just knew it was now or never. Like, you're either going to do it. 'Cause in my mind, I always knew I was going to be in LA, but yet I wasn't there. It was just like, I always, I was like, someday I'll get there, someday I'll get there. And it just kept, there's something that's just in my, I don't know, my subconscious or in my being that just was like, are you going to do this or not? Are you going to go for it and say, I tried? Or are you going to wake up and say, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but never did? So you see sitting there in the rocker, saying, gosh, I could have tried, but I didn't. And there's lots of things that, I don't mind, like, not succeeding or failing at something, but it's the not trying that really kind of was weighing at me. It's like, okay, you're either going to do this or you're not. And so I booked a one-way ticket, packed a suitcase, and came out to Los Angeles. And it was kind of funny because right before I did that, I flew out here for an event to kind of get the lay of the land. Had an appointment with an agency, and I kept telling myself, I was doing these little prep works along the way, trying to make connections and getting my marketing materials in place. And I kept telling myself, when I get an agent, I'll move. When I get an agent, I'll move to LA. And so I came out here in November for an event, dropped some headshots and things in the mail, flew back on Sunday. On Monday, I get a call from an agency in LA saying they wanted to meet with me. So I had to fly back to LA, meet with them, and end up being a good fit. And so I ended up, so they said, okay, let's work together. So this was, almost towards the end of the year, like right around Thanksgiving time. And I was like, oh boy, I've got to move to LA. So I'm sitting on my couch going, I can get there, I'll be there. And I didn't want to, because I didn't know I wasn't in LA at the time. I thought I lived there. So I was like, I got to get to LA fast. So, I just told him I'd be ready to rock and roll at the beginning of the year. And so I just packed a suitcase, booked a one-way ticket, left everything. Didn't tell people I was moving. Didn't tell anybody I was moving. I just said I was going away for the winter, going to take some classes, and just packed the suitcase with one-way ticket, left my condo, left everything, left my shoes, left everything.
You left
I left my shoes. I couldn't believe it.
Come on.
Oh, I just, I went back and got them eventually, but for a while we were separated.
I got it. So listen. It's interesting that I seem to run into a lot of people, and I can very much resonate, where we have that moment, we just say, it's supposed to happen. There's no thought process. It's that, as you know, I do a lot of videos. One of them I just rewatched the other week, and it was labeled "What If," but the story was "What If I Don't?" So there's a certain mentality, like you just nailed it there, where it's not, what if this work? What if I do this and it doesn't work? What if I fail? It's that mentality of, what if I don't do this? Where do you think that stems from?
That's a good question. I think I've always had something like that in me, where I've had from a young age a desire to do something special, with my life, and and you never know how much time you get, in terms of, you just don't know. You kind of like to think it's going to be a long time, but you just don't know, and that always kind of ran in the back of my mind too. It's like you don't have days to waste, and so I've always just wanted to have had a desire to do something special, but then at the same time, why didn't I go right out of college? Why didn't I just come out here after high school? It's like there's all different things that kind of play in your mind, different ways that that beliefs that you may have of why you can't do something, even though deep down you really want to. And I think it just took a little time for me to get to to get to a place where it's like, this is your life, and you've always wanted to do this. Are you going to, or are you not to? And it just came back to, I'd rather fall on my face and get back up somehow, or crawl back up, than sit comfortably and just be bored and not and not challenge myself or not try. And I was in a situation where I was able to go. I didn't have any things holding me in Chicago or any place else really, so I was able to go, and it was just me. So even if things were challenging, it would just be me. It wasn't like I had kids or people that were counting on me. And so I was in a situation where it was I had more of a freedom to be able to do that, and I was just like, this is crazy, just go, and if it works out, great. If you get there and you decide it's not for you, fine. There's no no shame in that either. And I just had to. I can't describe it in any other way. As I just had to go. I just had to, and I didn't know anybody. I knew no one, had no friends, no contacts, nothing. I just got on the plane.
Well, it looks like you're enjoying it. Because I don't honestly think there's anyone sat in Chicago right now out on the patio with the palm trees doing an interview or not. I just, it's just a gut feeling I have right now in the middle of winter.
If they're out there on their patio, it's under a fake palm tree, and they're probably, really like, igloo-minded people. They like being cold, but
or dead, maybe. Or dead. Hypothermia. So let me ask you this. You said there about you got this sort of acting book, we'll call it that. How old were you then?
5.
5. Okay, so 20 years ago you got the acting book.
Approximately, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. That's 2 I've got. 2 brownie points. I'm counting. So, is there anyone out of your school or your class or any of your friends or any of these other people you practice nepotism on back then? Is there anyone like that that's done as you've done, or even dipped their toe in the water, so to speak? Or are they off doing other things, or you just don't know?
when I was growing up, there really wasn't anybody in my, in my circle of influence that had been in acting or had been in television or really had done anything that I do. So my family was more like business and professional, and I'm not saying that acting isn't, but this is more of our artistic kind of minded career path, and so there wasn't really a role model for me or
What about the people? Maybe I misphrase it. What about the people who are in your, the ones you're actually at school with, going through this path with you, as it were?
You know, I'm sorry. Do you mean how are they doing now? Is that what you mean?
No,
Or,
did any of them follow the same path? Did any of them
well,
from your?
when I was in Chicago, like I'd built up a network of fellow actor friends in Chicago from some different schools and places where I studied, and a number of us are out here now in LA making things happen. I've got a couple of friends who've booked roles on you hit television shows. I got another friend who just got a movie off the ground, and so yeah, I mean we're having a lot of people from my Chicago-based community that are out who have did the same thing, packed a bag and said we're making it happen, and have come out here and have really made some strides. So it's really encouraging and really just exciting to see other people, taking that chance on themselves and going after their own dreams and really, really making it happen. And it just proves that you can accomplish something if you just take that step forward.
So, what do you think from the other side of that, playing devil's advocate? What do you think stops people doing that? And I'm also mindful that I'm speaking with you and not my friend Dov, so I'm mindful of my language. Okay.
Oh.
so what do you think? There's obviously a we'll call it a draw the line in the sand moment. I've had enough moment. Sod it moment. Okay. And at some point we just go. So what is it that why do you think you did it and others don't?
Well, I can tell you why it took me so long to do it, and why people might not go right when they have that initial urge. I mean, it comes down to fear and believing in yourself, and I think a lot of times, you hear messages, oh, this isn't going to work, or this is for other people, or you hear all the things about why it can't work for you, or you're not this enough, you're not that enough, you're not tall enough, thin enough, smart enough, whatever. You don't have any connect. I mean, there's a lot of different, or you hear the old phrase, oh, it's really hard out there. I hear it's really hard out there, and also I think as coming up, we're just kind of trained coming up through school to follow a certain road. You go to school, you memorize the stuff, you pass the test. You go to another school, you memorize more stuff, you pass another test, and you go write out a big long piece of paper and with what your accomplishments are. You hand it to somebody, they give you a job, and then you work for them, and they tell you what to do. And that's kind of like the path that the traditional path that I had taken. And that's just kind of like what's expected of you. You go get a job and you work for somebody else. And when you branch out on your own, they don't teach you really skills on how to do that in school. You know what I mean? Like how to go out and build a business for yourself, or go after your dreams and provide for yourself. In a way they don't really teach you how to think on your feet or things like that. And so I think people are a lot of times afraid of what will happen, because you're in a safe. Because I was in a really pretty secure place. I had clients and good things coming in, and I was pretty comfortable. And I think that's the other thing, is being comfortable stops people from taking risks, because it's very uncomfortable, because you don't know what's going to happen. I came out here, I didn't have work lined up. I didn't know, I had a bunch of money saved up, and I came out here. But that scares people, and it scared me. It's just whether or not you have to. It's just whether or not you believe in yourself enough that that you can make it happen. And I think sometimes people have taken in a lot of negative information, and Dov talks a lot of this about his material too, about some of the beliefs that you build up, what your belief systems are, and what you believe to be true. And if you believe that it's going to be difficult, or you believe that you're not good enough, or you believe that you don't deserve it, that's another really huge holding block, and I think that might be one of the top reasons why people, to answer your questions, don't go after what they want, is because they don't believe that they deserve it, because they've heard that they don't deserve it, or it's a belief that they have, and so until you can change that within yourself, it's a lot harder to go out and put it all out on the line, because you have to, as an entrepreneur, as someone who is breaking the mold and going off and really taking ownership of your life and standing on your own two feet, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe that you deserve it. And and sometimes we're not always trained, and we don't always come out, we might come out of the womb believing that we do, but stuff happens along the way that kind of knocks us down, and I think that's a key contributor to why people don't go after what they want.
Very, very much so. I mean, one of the things I truly believe is often adversity is life's greatest motivator. And we do hear growing up, all kinds of, and I think you hit the nail on a couple of points there. I don't use the term system because people conjure up all kinds of things, but what we're taught is go to school, pass your grades, get a good job, get a career, get a pension. Was fine at the end of the Second World War, because that's what that's what was needed then. But the other thing there, when you use the term entrepreneur, I can see, I can feel some people just go, oh, and and then they get these visions of, I don't watch TV, what is it, Shark Tank or blah blah blah, whatever it may be. But if you're an actor, you're an entrepreneur. If we all are. It just is something where we're taking control of our life, and fiscally, but also I believe in you mentioned our unworthiness, but also I believe in what we believe we deserve. It could be just in terms of happiness. I've just done in LA, writing, producing, acting, then crab fishing in Chicago, or making deep pan pizzas, or whatever people do over there. I don't know. But anyway, so there's a couple of things then. You mentioned Dov a few times, and this is not a Dov Bar Unplugged video, just so you know. But we spoke briefly before you were on about reading. My take is you're a big reader, and I would also guess, and I honestly don't know, so I'm going blind here, I would also guess you're the sort of person that probably goes on personal development type courses, or self-development, or things like this. Would I be correct in that?
Yeah. Yes.
Sort of, if someone's watching this right now and goes, I want to be just like, I want to be sat there with the palm trees, with the big smile, with the sunshine. What book did she read? What course? Which one made? There's 1,000 books out there. So you probably, I'm guessing you've read quite a lot. Is there any that kind of leap to mind, or is there any courses you've been on, or what would you, if someone wants to do what you're doing right now, it's easy for me to say, fine, just pack a bag, I'm in, I'll go. Okay?
In terms of like books and things that I read, there's so many different books that I have read, that I'm rereading. I obviously, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind's a great one. Anything by Tony Robbins, I love. Anything that kind of gets you to look within and challenge your own beliefs. Asking if it's given us good. I like the 10x factor, because it really, that's a Grant Cardone, gets you to look at how much action and movement that you're taking towards your specific goal, and if you look at the highly successful people, they're moving at lightning speed, and we always hear the phrase from successful people saying, success loves speed, and if you're one of those people that's like, I'll do this later, I'll do this later, you got to eliminate that habit from your life. It's like, do everything that you can today, because there's going to be more to do tomorrow. But if it takes you a week to do one thing, then as opposed to getting that one thing done in 5 minutes where you can get more stuff done, it's just obviously that you're going to move a lot faster. And also in terms of goal settings, another reason why I love that book is because it challenges you to set your goals higher then like 10 times higher than what you think that you can accomplish, because even if you don't hit it, you're still going to be that much further ahead. And a lot of times people set their goals to just actually, and Bob Proctor talks about this a lot too in a lot of his trainings, where people set their goals for stuff they already know how to do. That's not a goal. You know, if your goal is to go out and make the same number of sales calls that you made yesterday, that's not a goal. If your goal is to, you're not challenging yourself, or so you have to keep setting or setting your goals for things that you already know how to do. And I think people, one thing that holds people back, and I know this is something that that I can speak from my own perspective or from my own truth, is that, oh, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it, so I don't get started. And I love this. One of my favorite quotes of all time is from Martin Luther King Jr., who says, you don't have to see the entire staircase. You just have to take that first step. And that just sums everything up. It's like you don't have to know how you're going to get something done. You have to decide that you're going to get it done. And it just comes down to making that decision. And I learned a lot of that from a lot of the. That was another Bob Proctor thing. I think he started one of his trainings, The Science of Getting Rich, was something. And I've watched this like 10,000 times. So it's something to the effect of, all it takes to succeed in your life is a decision, or just a decision. You just have to decide you're going to do it. That's the first step. You're just going to do it. Don't worry about how you're going to do it. Just decide that you are. And all that is just knowledge and valuable training that I picked up through a number of courses. Like like I said, Bob Proctor is another one I listen to a lot as well. Wayne Dyer's trainings are amazing. I love Wayne Dyer. If you ever listen to Wishes Fulfilled, that's a great book, and he's got videos and stuff on that as well. So
I feel like you're actually stalking my library, honestly. Just like you're going, right.
Maybe I am, Tony.
That one.
I've got little lipstick cameras all over your books and audios.
Yeah, I've met people like you before. I know all about that.
I look like an ordinary girl, but really.
Yeah, right. I'm just an ordinary girl that just by chance magically appeared in Hollywood. It just happened. Let me ask you this. Okay, I think I know the answer. So you're packing your bags. You're not really telling anyone. I'm sure I'm going away. I'm doing this. I'm putting in for auditions. I'm sending out headshots. Was there anyone that actually said to you, don't be ridiculous, or it won't work, or you're wasting your time, or it'll never happen, or your head's in the clouds, or blah, 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 blah? Did that ever happen to you?
Not at the time that I left. When I was younger, like right around 5 and 6, that, I heard, I was not this career path was not encouraged. But when I packed my bags, and I didn't give anybody a chance to tell me that I was crazy, because I didn't tell them I was leaving, I just left. And really, actually, no. And that comes down to another belief, back to a lot of the things that we have about limiting beliefs. Is like, something that I heard when I was just a kid, I kept carrying and replaying in my head over and over. Like, I can't talk about this, or I can't really go after something because people are going to laugh at me. They're going to tell me it's never going to happen. And I just believed that to be true for so long, and it might have been true when I was 5, but it's not true today. I can honestly tell you that there wasn't nobody in my circle of friends, and no one in my family that laughed at me and said you're crazy. They said good luck, you go girl. I mean, I'm so you have guts. I wish I wish you well. And so all that stuff that you think that people are, the negative stuff that you think people are going to say, sometimes it's just an old tape. And for me, that it was an old tape. It was an old tape, and I didn't know it at the time. Had I known it, I probably would have told people I was leaving. Had a party. I could have gotten a party out of it.
Maybe they didn't believe you because you left your shoes. Maybe that's what it was.
I know,
right?
Like,
there's no way. It's not serious. The shoes are still here. So.
Well, I will tell you that was probably a mistake, not leaving the shoes, but not. And it comes back to making the decision, because I had kept my condo for a while, and because I had an exit strategy, and so it was kind of like, I said I was going to go, but I hadn't fully committed, because I could turn around and go back, and I think that was a mistake. I think I should have just said, pack it up and go, because until you fully commit, until you fully decide that and put your whole self into it, you can't really get the success that you want, because your subconscious doesn't know. Is she staying? Is she going? Did she mean it or she not? You don't know that. You think that you're covering all your bases, having a B plan, and sometimes having the B plan is the worst thing that you can
Yeah.
set up for yourself. And so if I had to do it over again, I would have just. I mean, for a lot of reasons, it wasn't the best laid plan in the world. Let me tell you, Tony. But um, uh, it was probably a mistake to not just take the shoes and everything else and make
Hindsight is an exact science. So we can all look back at things
isn't
in
it
our
though?
life,
Yeah.
and I should have done this. I shouldn't have done that. I should have done this. I should have done that. I mean, the magic question is, where are the shoes now?
Oh, they're here.
Okay, right. You're all in.
I'm all in. No, I've been all in for a couple of years. I rented out my place. I can't even go back there to live, and everything's here in LA, and I'm all in. So
it's like you're at the table and you just pushed all the chips to the middle.
And things shift. It really does shift in your mind when you commit and you make that decision that you're going to 100% go for something. There's no turning back. And it gives you a whole different perspective. So decide what you want to do, make sure it's what you want, and then there's no reason not to go for it, and go all in. Because the reasons why you tell yourself that you can't go all in are usually old tapes.
Yeah.
Go crazy, crazy old tapes.
Train without the safety net. That's my thing. There's a story, isn't it, I believe, about, I think it's Napoleon, about burning the boats. Going into battle and burning the boats, there's no way out. So, to shift it here a little bit, so we've talked about a few things here. You're obviously passionate about your career, be it writing, producing, or acting, about the whole sphere. Outside of that, what are your passions? What's your true passion?
I love animals. I want to be able to. I love dogs. I'm actually been over the last year looking to adopt a puppy, and I found a couple, and I'm always just a day or so late. But what strikes me is because I do a lot of online browsing, looking for, looking at the pet sites and what have you, and just what's astounding to me is the enormous number of homeless animals that are out there. And I'm just looking in the LA area, right? And there's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dogs and animals that need homes, and it's so sad. And that's just one city. I mean, granted, it's a large city, but it's just it's hard for me to wrap my brain around how we can have such an animal population challenge. So I really want to do more to help homeless animals find homes. I love being able to help younger people see opportunities for themselves. I mean, one of the things that I've been blessed with pretty much my whole life is having opportunities to do things and to travel and to see the world and to meet people. Been just amazingly blessed to have had a lot of opportunities like that. And I just want to help other people to be able to have that same kind of opportunities to go after what they want, or to see different things, and to see different different options that they have in their life. I mean, I think if you're exposed to, the more that you're exposed to, the more that you see that you can have for yourself. And I think that was one of the things that kind of, you asked me, I think earlier on about how I had that ability to just, pack up and go. And I think part of that was the vast opportunities and exposures that I had when I was a kid, and just knowing what was possible, and if you don't know what's possible for yourself, you don't know, you only know what you know, right? And so being able to find ways to help, other people and especially younger kids, get, opportunities and be able to go after what they want and to be the best that they can be as well, because everybody has, light in them and gifts to share with the world. And it's funny because you don't always appreciate yours. What you might think, is no big deal to you might mean the world to somebody else, and you don't always know that because it comes so naturally and effortlessly to you.
Absolutely. I mean, Dov mentioned last week about, let me just remember, I'm trying to paraphrase his words, but it was, what we grow up around is normal, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. Unless we step out, or until we step out of that becomes becomes the norm. There's something about travel. And I seem to recall reading something a few months ago you put up that you've actually been to more countries than you have been to states. Have I got that correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
It's true, yes.
Okay, so I'm so far I've got you down as 2 states, Illinois and Cali. All right, so you know, which countries stick out in your mind? So I believe travel is a great, just it is a motivator, but it, as you quite rightly touched on there, it broadens our opportunity because we stretch our boundaries on all kinds of things by seeing what's abnormal in our mindset. So what countries leap out at you as places you go like, oh, I went there, I loved it, I'm going back?
Uh, well, countries that leap out to me in lots of different ways. I loved them going back would be France. It was my first, Paris was my first international trip. I loved the city. It was beautiful. I had studied some French when I was in school and was able to get around a little bit. Not just basic stuff, but I really really enjoyed it. I was there in the spring. It was beautiful, and I would definitely go back in a heartbeat to visit Paris and other parts of the country as well. Ethiopia strikes me for a completely different other reason. It's very, one of the first African countries that I had been to. I think the first one was South Africa, but then I went to Ethiopia after that. Very, very, very visually interesting in terms of just driving through the country. I mean, obviously it's extremely a poor country, I remember just going out into villages and we would be driving down for hours, and then we'd pull off into the grass, and then we'd be into this community where there's huts, the huts where where the local villagers and farmers would live, and it's just very, very, very primitive lifestyle. But it was it's kind of cool because we're taking pictures, and all the kids would swarm us because they hadn't seen cameras and they hadn't seen themselves on
It
cameras.
sounds a lot like New Jersey to me, but anyway.
A little different, but if you're in areas where you look different. I remember the first time I was in Japan, I was in Tokyo, and I was walking down the street, and Tokyo is like New York City, right? I mean, it's just that everything's in Japanese. But you definitely, so it was like the first country I had been in where I was definitely the one person that didn't look like everybody else. I was like, well, it's like, okay, and it was just different because in the United States, you can walk on a street corner and see all different types of people, size, shapes, ethnicities, what have you. In some other countries, that's just, there's not that much diversity unless it's you, in which case it was me. And so I thought that was just, but I love Japan. Great food. I really enjoyed my visit there. I've been there twice. Where else did I love? India. I would go back there in a heartbeat. I've been there twice. Again, I mean, you have so many different experiences, driving in the city, meeting with the local people. I mean, again, another extremely a third world country, but just lovely, lovely people. It was it's just different. It's just being around different cultures and just being able to experience, learn a little bit more about other people. And I love the food. I could not stop eating when I was there. It was crazy. I love Indian food, and was there for 10 days on both trips, and and just got to see a lot of the country and just meet some amazing people. So it's nice to have friends and people in different parts of the world, and it makes you more inspired to keep peace in the world because you've got friends all over the place, right? So it's
what created your traveling bug? Was it because of your career, or was it something you grew up with? I know in my case, it was something as simple as about the only teacher that actually I got on with and I enjoyed was my geography teacher. So I took an interest in anything to do with geography, because I had a great teacher. So what gave you the travel bug, as it were?
It's interesting. I've always traveled. When I was a kid, I grew up playing tennis, and I used to travel around the U.S. playing tournaments. So I'd see a lot of the country, in that way. And then I guess I just always wanted to see the world and travel. And then when I moved to Chicago and was starting to do production work, a lot of the shoots were also around the country. And then we had some clients that would take us overseas, and you know, it just kind of snowballed from there, where I just got more and more opportunities to go. I didn't actually actively seek it out, and it just kind of landed in my lap. And I just kept saying yes. And I think that's kind of one of the things where, you know, people kind of wonder, well, how do you know if I'm, you know, doing my passion or doing my life's purpose? And part of it is what keeps showing up, you know, what opportunities keep showing up for you, and do they keep coming back? And so I mean, I didn't plan a lot of the stuff. I didn't plan at all. Like I didn't just kind of, I just kept saying yes, and I'd go through the door, and I liked it, and I'd say yes again, and another door would open, and just, you know, I just kept getting, you know, opportunities, and I was, you know, kind of in the zone. And so I think, and I just wanted to travel. I think I put it out there when I was a kid. I just wanted to see the world. I wasn't thinking all the stuff that I just told you about. I just, you know, thought it'd be cool to go, you know, see stuff, and so it just kind of happened. It just kind of landed in my lap, and I just kept saying yes to opportunities. And that's one thing I would, you know, tell people, is just say yes to a lot of the things that show up.
Are there any places that are still on the list that you haven't been to? Is there somewhere that's sort of dragging you there, saying, I've got to see this, I've got to go there, I've got to do this?
Yep.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, there's 3 places that are on the absolute must-see list. Egypt. Got to get to Egypt. I've always wanted to see the pyramids. I've always just wanted to go there. I mean, I love, you know, I love like old stuff like that, you know, like really, really old architecture and just old civilizations.
Is that why you're talking to me right now? Is that what you're saying?
No, you're talking to you because you're awesome and you're the real Tony Cohen.
Oh, I thought it was the old stuff. All right.
No, so Egypt, Italy. I took a Roman art class when I was in college, and I just fell in love with the art and the culture there, and I've never been to Rome. I've never been to Italy, so I've always wanted to go there. I want to see the Colosseum and the Parthenon, and you know.
The Parthenon's in Greece, isn't it?
Was it in Greece? Well, that was number 3. So I'm moving on to that was number 3. Same.
Okay.
Same. I guess I didn't do so well in my art class, but no, there's yeah. So Greece is 3. Rome, Italy, Greece, and Egypt are the 3, and then Spain I'd like to get to too. So.
Okay, cool. Very
cool. And if they ever get passport control, I'll go to Antarctica.
To where?
That's the one continent I haven't been to, is Antarctica. So I was like,
that one you can do alone. The others, you know,
I might go take a picture with the penguin and then you know, get out of there. I don't have any real interest in spending a considerable amount of time there.
I don't need to feel it. You know? This whole thing, enough already. Enough with the snow. So. You know, we got people looking and watching that are, you know, all ages. I'm guessing. I can't see that, obviously. But my take is, at some point, some young girl or guy is going to see Hollywood on the header of this video and go, I wonder what that's about. So what advice, you know, whether it's Hollywood or anything else, but Hollywood is a big, especially these days, with celebrity culture as it is, and the internet making everything so instant. You know, there's certain places that more than ever flag up as glamour. You mentioned Paris in the springtime, or you know, New York City, or Hollywood. Or, you know, and there's certain places in the world. Rome is another one you mentioned there, that have certain images about it. So if someone wants to get to Hollywood, and I don't need the flight details, if someone just says, right, you know, this is what I do. I'm in school, I love acting, or I love movies, or I love writing, or, you know, I was talking to a lady yesterday, and she's in South Carolina. Are you juicing there? Is that what's going on?
I don't know if, like, I don't know what they're doing out there. It's like,
I thought I was your juicer. I thought it was the automatic juicer.
I think it might be some kind of, like, I hope it's not construction or anything. That would be kind of a drag. Okay.
Maybe paparazzi. So, you know, I was talking to someone yesterday, but I've been speaking with her for a few years. And she wants to get into modeling, she wants to be an actress, da-da-da-da-da. The challenge is she lives in somewhere in South Carolina, I think it is, or Georgia. And I said, you know, the only chance you've remotely got in Georgia is if you go to Atlanta, but even that, it's not happening. So you got to go to LA or New York City. Well, can't you get someone to come down here and interview me? No, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're in the middle of nowhere, and I mean that in a kind of respectful way, if you're not where it's happening, you got to, whatever it is in life, if you're not where it's happening, you got to go to where it's happening. You can equate this to the software industry that all ended up happening in the same place. And you know, you got all the Google and the Facebook and all these companies, they're all in the same place. You got to go to where it's happening. If you're you know, if you want to learn to be a chef, a world-class French chef, you go to Lyon, because that's where it's happening. If you want to learn certain things, you go to certain places. So how would you know, what would you say to someone right now that has that burning passion, that burning desire, and just says, right, you know what, I realize I've got to take the plunge, but I don't know what to do. So how would they go about that? If someone wants to be the Kalei Hollywood actor, producer, writer, shoe collector, what would they do?
Well, the first thing I would tell them to do is whether they want to write, produce, act, or what have you, is to get as much experience where they're at before they pack their bags. You know, just start auditioning for commercials where you're at. Start writing material. Start learning your craft and start getting really, really good at your craft, because you want to be an expert in your field. There's a lot of people, no matter what industry you're in, there's going to be, you know, competition. There's going to be a lot of people in your field, and you want to you know, be able to be an expert at what you do and have some experience before you just come running out here. Before also start building a network. Pretty much any industry these days, it's about relationships. It's about building. Who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know? To get, that's where you're going to get most of your opportunities. It's going to be a lot easier if you know people and get your foot in the door to people that you know, than trying to just be cold calling. So we do a lot of talk within some of our different business environments about the importance of building a relationship. It's even more true out in Hollywood. I mean, it's a very, very small town, and so get to know and make real meaningful connections with people. Get to know people, before you start. The same principles apply, really. Networking principles apply. Get to know people, build real relationships before you start, looking for what you can get from somebody. Look for more about what you can give, what you have to offer. Look for any way that you can to get your foot in the door. It may not be the most glamorous position in the world, but people like to work with the people that they know, like, and trust. And again, it's it's a lot of it's referral. Once you're in a door, especially in production, you hire the same crews all the time. You hire the same cameramen, the lighting crews, the editors. You work with the same people all the time. So if you can start to make one connection. And do a good job. That's why you have to be good at you hone your skills and be good and bring something to the table that you can contribute, and make as many connections and networks as you can. That's going to help you more than anything. And so and continue to do that when you come out here. Continue to look for ways to work. One of the pieces of advice I got out here from I think it was a casting director. He kept saying, work begets work. If you do some work, you get more work. But the more you don't do any work, the more you get no work. So work begets work. So just take whatever assignment you can, keep building on that, promote it. Get your name out there. Don't be shy about how awesome you are. To tell people, I'm in a show, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and promote it and get your name out there, and stay in front of people a lot, and decide that you're going to do it, because it's one of these careers again. We just have to, it's not if, it's when, and believe that you're going to do it, and have a strategy, and then be flexible, because things shift and change all the time, and if something doesn't go your way one time, it could go your way another time. And don't take things personally. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons why you may or may not book a part, or you may or may not, be called in to work with a team or whatever. Don't take it personally. Just just know that you are that you've come out here to fulfill your life's passion, and that you're going to succeed no matter what, and take one day at a time.
Okay. So, and that I suppose that applies to everything, doesn't it? So you're saying people shouldn't adopt my approach of just hang around coffee shops, run into random directors that say,
Well,
yeah, I want to.
But actually, your
Huskies.
approach has been quite good for you, Tony, because you actually are out there. I mean, you do. I can't. Every time I talk to you, you've met like 5 or 6 new cool people. You're always building, making friends, and networking, and you never know who you're going to run into. And that's pretty much exactly what I'm talking about. Go follow Tony.
Yeah, mastering the craft is, yeah, I'll write a movie script. How many have you done? Oh, this will be my first. Have you took any lessons? No. How hard can it be? That's probably not duplicatable. But I get what you're saying totally. But it's interesting that, because that can apply, or does apply to everything in life, what you're saying. It's about the connecting. It's about the being rapport, I believe. And it's also, you just nailed something there. It's about being proactive in terms of, if you're waiting for the perfect job or the perfect time or the perfect whatever, you know what? While you're waiting for that, someone else that's less skilled, talented, good-looking, whatever than you is out there. It's not you sat in your bedroom. It's the other person that's doing. That's interesting. So I'll have to remember that when I get to Hollywood. Okay, I'm coming, just so you know. That's the whole purpose of these things.
Look forward to it, Tony. I'll take you to a great coffee shop.
What could possibly go wrong? I mean, seriously.
I can't imagine.
It's a flawless plan. A flawless plan. It's in exactly the same place as my movie script. One day I'll formulate it. No, it's there. I'll be there. I'll be there. And the Hollywood experience. You can help me with that. I'll bring all my shoes. Okay. So let me ask you this, because I'm mindful of the time. I said about an hour. What's next for you? I don't mean today. I don't mean you're going for a pedicure. I mean, where are you going? Where are we going? Where's the next place we're going to see Kalei appear?
I want to do a lot more public speaking. So you'll be and being able to share different messages about success and business and living your kind of your best life. And I want to be able to speak on stages to large groups and really helping them to take that next step forward in their own life. So that's something that's on my path. I want to do a lot more with, like I said, with animals. And there's some charities that I want to work with and being able to make a difference in the community in that kind of way. I've got, like I said, other scripts and stories in my head. Like you, Tony, they've been sitting in my head. I've got it, I just need to sit down and get it out of my head and onto a paper. I'm working on one now. But there's like 2 or 3 other ones that have just been, that have been there for years that I haven't, taken the time to sit down and do it even. So it's not just you. I still have, I still have that within myself, and I've got, things that I want to do, and just doing more the same types of projects but on a bigger scale, and really being able to make an impact in that way.
I really pity the people that have absolutely nothing in their head.
Sometimes it might be kind of nice just to have nothing there, or just for like 5 minutes.
I've had a few nights like that, definitely. But, so it's more of the same. I didn't know the thing about the pets and the dogs and things. So it's interesting that we learn more about people. What are you reading right now?
Right now, I have my nose in, like we were talking about, one of Dov's books. I'm rereading that one. Don't read this; the ego won't like it. I've got an audiobook of Tony Robbins' latest book about money. I listened to that on audio. What else is on here? I've got Creativity Inc., which is a book.
You are stalking me, aren't you? These two?
I am. Just checking my iPad real quick. It's in my audiobook.
Come on, seriously.
Who's stalking who? Okay. Yeah, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's another one of my audiobooks. And Creativity Inc. That I'm currently going through now. It's just somebody who was working with Pixar.
Very cool.
That. So just
Very cool.
different kinds of.
Alrighty, so I'm going to wind this up. Do you have any questions for me that are, well, you know what, I've asked you anything. Do you have any questions for me before we wrap this?
Tony, what inspired you to launch your interview series?
you know, sometimes I just, like you said, things just appear. So, you know, I get on well with Dov, as do, well, not everyone, Dov's like me. And some, I don't know where it came from. I just said, can I do an interview with you? And he said, how do we do that? I said, on a Hangout. And he went, well, I've never done a Hangout, so that's fine. I've never done an interview. Okay, what could go wrong? So it just seemed like a whim that popped in my head from nowhere. And a lot of it was from reading the book. You know, reading the book. And honestly, and again, it's not a plug, but this thing is a working manual for me. I mean, mine's getting a little bit battered now. And every time I read it, I get something else out of it. And I just, you know, I chat with Dov all the time. And I thought, this needs sharing. But Dov's thing is kind of like, it's similar in certain ways to mine. Is very authentic in terms of, I know he uses some of my videos in his Speakers Academy, and he called me once and he was asking about the videos I do, and you know, what sort of camera do you use? And do you have a, who takes the pictures? And, you know, about a script. I said, well, here's my camera, Dov, there, okay. The cameraman is the guy holding the camera, which is me. There's no script. Small. There's no planning. There's no another. I don't want to the internet, the universe. Okay, and the only one I ever did when I looked at it, I got self-critical. So, and I kind of thought this message out there, and interestingly enough, on that call we did just last week, on that call we did, one of the things that Dov actually mentioned is when he meets people, he always asks what they want to promote it. I wanted to get him out there because I thought, you know, I think he has some very valuable tools that, well, you know, I'm a guy very similar to yourself. I've read all courses, and Dov has something there that is, ooh, how can I put it? It's very different than anyone else's. It's not the same old rah 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 or methodology. It's kind of everything's like that, and Dov's coming from here. So I thought, you know, there's not enough people know this. And anyone that works for me, and whenever someone asks, you know, if you could recommend one book right now, it's always the one I'm reading the most. So, you know, certain books have certain value in certain subjects. You know, if it was investing money right now, that Tony Robbins book, even though I find it a little bit hard going for me because it's not like, I don't know what my strength subject is. But it's not one of my strong subjects, so I'm really having to study that. And we say, what book do you recommend? And I just say, well, if you know, and generally I can feel where people are coming from. I just tell people to read that one of Dov's, and I just thought the message needs to get out. So I did that interview. Then I watched it after the fact, and I thought, you know, I could get better at this. And also what I could do is help some other people by just getting it out there. Because right now I've gone from nowhere to a guy with, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos out there that get watched hundreds of times. I still don't have a clue what I'm doing. I've not been on anything at all. I've not taken a course, read a book, done anything on how to make videos, how to do it. I'm just like, yeah, okay. Same as the movie script. You know, a good friend of mine, she's in the dog business, and she knows some, you know, serious directors. And she was saying, "Oh, you're writing a movie script. Did you take any courses?" I'm like, "No, why would I take a course? I'm just writing a movie script." "Okay, you've got to take a course." "Nah, I don't do it like that." "Okay. So how are you going about it?" "Well, I've got a pen and a paper, and it's in my head." "Okay, you're going to get laughed at." "You know, I've been laughed at all my life. Okay, and if I get laughed at by 1,000 people, that's fine. I've only got one script. I only need one person to say, wow, that's great." She said, "Well, no one will pay any attention." I said, "This is interesting." I said, "I have 5 people asking for it right now. that want to see. I've not even done it yet. I just told them the basis of the story. So I kind of just do things on a whim. Now, whether that's packing the bags in Chicago and just saying, I'm going to LA with my headshots, however you do it, okay? Yeah, I just do that. So last week, I did this thing, and I watched it, and I thought, wow, you know, I also, on a selfish note, I really enjoy doing these. So it just came to me, right, who do I know that's interesting? And Kalei just let right out. Okay, that's 3 points, by the way. I'm keeping real track here. Let right out. And, you know, we chat about things, and we seem to, we have a good, a mutual sense of humor. Okay, I feel. I think yours might be a little more restrained than mine at times. And I just thought, you know, Kalei, with the smile, perfect. So, you know, the result is, and I hope this went well for you. I hope it didn't completely trash your Hollywood career. I just thought this is cool. That so then, you know, yesterday I thought, you know, there's a couple of advantages to this. Even if I go over the top on some of these, because I'm quite liable to do. It's not going to show up when someone searches you or on your website unless you wish it to do so. So, and then I thought, with these interviews, you know, the sort of brand that is by default become mine, the real Tony Cohen brand by default, and that's another video for another day. I just thought, you know, these are real interviews. There's not really any, you know, here's my, I can't find it now. I had a piece of paper with a few notes wrote on it. Just within, oh, there we go. That's it. That's my prep there. I did it as we were talking, warming up. I just went, all right, all right. I should write some questions down. There's no prep. There's no cut, edit, nothing. It is what it is. So it's a real interview with a real person, and caught off guard as well. Because let's face it, I've got the broadcast button at this end, so I really could have. I can stop this or control it. You have no control over anything I may do. Yeah, I'll leave your imagination that one. So that's how it came about. Next week, I am interviewing an author, Lisa McDonald, up in Canada. I'm not going to Canada, but you know, I'm interviewing her, and she's got an interesting story, very similar to, I mean, not quite both of ours, but different again. Someone just said, drawing a line in the sand, this is what I want to do. I want to become a children's author. I want to go to Hollywood. I want to be, and you know, some days I still wonder, what is it I want? And have I actually got that then? And what do I want next? So my passion is travel. So everything I do is geared to my, right now, you really need a new juicer. I'm serious. I mean, that thing. You know, right now my life is geared like everyone's. You know, I'm one of the few people that actually admit, yeah, I'm as lazy as hell. I don't want to do anything, and I don't want to get paid to do that. Okay, that was, you know, subconsciously our dream. Oh, I love hard work. Do you? Okay, what else are you going to tell me lies about? No, we don't. We'd rather sit on the beach drinking cocktails. Let's face it. So, you know, that's what I'm working towards. So I'm working towards my thing where I know I'm happiest when I'm traveling. I know, and that's what I'm working. So this is all, you know, the interview thing, the whole thing. It's as well as sharing our experiences from both ends. I feel it's important. There's people out there that just either are in a spot, are suffering adversity, don't know what to do. You know, Hollywood is a perfect example. Okay, I'd love to be in Hollywood. I'd love to be in Hollywood. I'd love to be in Hollywood. What do I do? So there we go. You know, I want to write children's books, or I want to be an inspiration to others, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, I want to do that. So my intent here is every week to have someone interesting on. And, you know, and I will try and feel the situation out and the person out, whereas, you know, certain people levels with that actually don't care what I do, and there's certain people that, you know, I will rein it in a little bit. So, Kalei, unmute. Has the juicer stopped?
Yes,
So,
it has
Kalei,
stopped.
I want to thank you so much for giving me the time to do this. I know you're very busy. If someone wants to reach out to you, where can they find you?
They can find me on Facebook. They can visit me Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, blogs at homebusinesstelevision.com. My main website is KaleiBeamon.com. But I hang out on Facebook all the time, so I'm really easy to find on social media.
I've noticed that about you. You're always on Facebook.
It's a party. It's a block party.
One of us is. One of us is.
Yes, always, always. Thank you.
You're welcome. So my take on this interview is this. If you're a French guy in Paris with a collection of nice ladies' shoes, get in touch with Kalei straight away. She's minutes from the airport. She's on her way. Just have a camera ready. That's what I got out of the interview. Kalei, I want to thank you so much for this, because I know in the back of your mind, I feel in the back of your mind, it was that, oh no, what have I signed myself up for here? What?
I knew it was fun and unexpected, so thank you. I appreciate the invitation. It's always fun talking with you.
Yeah, completely vulnerable to the world. I'm going to do a live interview with that guy in New York. I know. Thanks so much again. So from New York City on this was a sunny, snowy, everything day. I hope all of you watching live and all of you watching on the recording of this, I hope you get something wonderful from it that gives you some inspiration. So from New York City, the real Tony Cohen, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.